You're watching Detroit on Deck. Here are your hosts, Dave Cesefske and Josh Clark.
Clark, another episode here. Excited to be back. Josh, 2 days into NFL free agency, and it has been insane. Like, it's been crazy.
It's been electric for sure.
Yeah, but it's been fun, right? Like, I mean, it's what we kind of hoped the MLB hot stove would be like, right? But
absolutely,
you know, there's still some big guys out there in the NFL and MLB. But tonight we're going to talk about our top 10 in terms of the signings we think are the best deals. Whether you have your own parameters around it, that's fine. I'd also like to talk about who's on top in sports this week and who's at the bottom. All right, so why don't we start the show off with that, Josh? Who's on top for you in sports right now?
I mean, we got to stick with the NFL with the free agency going on right now. And, this might be a little segue to, a signing of mine. But I think the Philadelphia Eagles are actually absolutely killing the free agency with what they've done. I mean, it's only one person, I agree, but it makes everybody on that offense so much better. And they were already a scary offense. Yeah.
I think you and me are going to agree on that when we get into that. Somebody that might rhyme with Arkley. I don't know. I'm not giving away too much. But somebody that might help. And for me, who's on top right now? I mean, how can you argue the NFL, right, as a whole? Because the NFL is king, and it proves time and time again why it is, right? It's supposed to be some more NHL or some more MLB talk, and hot stove for MLB and free agents, and the season right around the corner. Doesn't matter what time it is of the year, dude. The NFL just really takes over and says, "Nah, actually, we're going to talk about us now again." Say what you want about Roger Goodell, but whoever is doing marketing for the NFL, man, give him a raise. Give him a raise, whatever, because it's working. Who's on top? Who's on bottom right now? Just not at a good spot for you in sports.
I mean, right now, I mean, you got to put the onus on freaking, the Michigan schools, Michigan State's on the bubble, potentially missing the tournament. We know Michigan's going to miss the tournament.
Yeah.
So it's been a very bad year for the state of Michigan in terms of college basketball. Outside of
Great.
Outside of your Horizon League champs, the Oakland Grizzlies.
Hey, shout out!
Golden Grizzlies. My bad, Golden Grizzlies.
Come on now, come on. Yeah.
So they're dancing. So it's kind of nice to have at least some representation in there, but. Again, it's kind of embarrassing at the same time with your two big dogs are potentially, on the outside. Well, one of them is for sure, and the other one potentially.
So for me, I'm going Kenny Payne. Kenny Payne, man. He got fired, obviously, was coming from Louisville. If you don't know him, look him up because it won't be a long read because he just hasn't done much. I mean, how do you go 12-52 in 2 seasons at Louisville? 12-52.
A team not too long ago, who won the national championship. So
that's what I'm saying, man. I mean, it's fallen on hard times for sure. And Kenny Payne for me is there. I mean, it was something that like you could see coming. For me, it reminded me of almost Georgetown and Patrick Ewing, right? Like he drove that thing into the ground. Like it was like, when are we going to fire this guy? This isn't good. He's ruining the program, right? Recruits aren't going there. And if you're Louisville, you should be getting some players. Now, I know Kentucky's loving it, right? Because they're getting a lot of those guys that maybe would have went to Louisville. Because Louisville and Kentucky, man, that was
probably one of the top 5 rivalries in college basketball.
Yeah, for sure. So that's for me. But let's start with our first topic. We are going to end with Red Wings. We'll get into it. We'll start, obviously, with the top 10 signings in the NFL, go into the Lion signings, and then we'll talk about some other things here. But let's start at number 10, Josh. For me, at number 10, I got Austin Eckler for the Commanders. 2 years, $8 million, $4 million a year. Like, that is an absolute steal. I know he didn't grade well, and Pro Football Focus last year. I think he was in the 50s of 56 starters, like running backs that had started at one point in the year. I like him. I mean, I think he's a great player. I think that offense was really bad last year, and that's a lot on that head coaching staff. Staley's not there anymore, but Austin Eckler for me is at number 10. What about you?
Yeah, I'm sticking in the running back market as well. I actually have Josh Jacobs going to the Packers at number 10.
I had him at 11, so yeah.
Yeah, so I have him at 10. I'm honestly not a big fan of him. Yeah, I will say he has turned the page in the last couple of years. It seems like he's, figured some things out in terms of, reading some holes, getting more yardage, settling for what's there.
Yeah.
So I think they got a steal there. He's still young. He fits in with that young core. Got rid of an aging back in Aaron Jones, who still had some good miles on him. But, yeah, I think they upgraded there in terms of, got rid of 2 players, opened up a roster spot, and basically got, a guy who can do the same as Jones and what Dillon did for them.
Yeah, I'm with you there. For me, at number 9, I'm going Patrick Queen. I think Patrick Queen, nice little signing there, obviously for the Steelers, going to his rival, left the Ravens. You had made a comment to me when I texted you that, and you said he must have hated being a Raven, because if you're going to go to it didn't make any sense there, but hey, they paid the man, and Patrick Queen is going there 3 years, 41.
Like my point in me saying it is like, sure, you love the game of football. Sure, they're giving you the money. You know what I mean? That's what matters at the end of the day. This is a business at the end of the day, but that's like transferring from, Michigan to Michigan State or Duke to North Carolina and vice versa. You know what I'm saying?
Of course.
A huge rivalry. Like, I'm sorry, but if I'm leaving a place and like the rivalry, in my opinion, like I'm not even in my mind. Like, no thanks.
Agreed.
You know what I mean?
Agreed. So it was like a slap in the face.
Exactly. And then, you can say the same thing with, a lot of these, Cowboys going to the Commanders.
I mean,
we understand why they went there because of Quinn.
Right.
But I mean, at the same time, like, where's the loyalty at? Like, sure, loyalty doesn't pay your bills and stuff, but like, I don't know, it just kind of shows me the type of people that they are, and they're just money hungry. And again, which I get, it's a business, but
yeah. Well, it's funny you say that because, I'll bring that up in a second. A guy that I got on here. Go ahead. Who's your number 9?
My number 9 is actually a late addition to this list. You had him on, your best available still, and that's Calvin Ridley.
Okay. Okay.
I absolutely love that move, especially if D-Hop's still there. Him as a number 2 is absolutely crazy.
And I made some changes to this list because that Calvin Ridley signing is electric for them. I mean, you're really – and tell me if I'm wrong here, Josh. Just a yes or no, what you think. If Levis doesn't succeed, he ain't the guy this year, because with those weapons that he has and running backs, you went and got Pollard too. He has to succeed.
No, absolutely. And then a late addition that they just got to, they just signed Mason Rudolph as well.
Which I like that a lot. He's done some good things. He's a good backup. So is that a signing, Josh, that's just like, okay, he's a veteran, or is it a, hey, Will, if you don't play good, we're going to put Mason in?
I mean, Mason is technically a veteran, but I mean, he's still young enough to carry a team for a few years.
Right.
If he puts together some good seasons, and I mean, he did lead the Steelers to a playoff berth last year. So
yeah, yep. All right, number 8. Who you got at number 8, Josh?
Number 8 for me, former Cincinnati Bengal running back Joe Mixon to the Texans.
Okay, Joe Mixon. I really like that. That was a trade. They were going to release him, but I mean, it was really a heads-up move by the Texans because I don't really, outside, I know you say the Eagles, but the Texans have had one heck of an offseason, man. They're in my top 3, and for me specifically, I mean, thinking about it now, I probably should have said the Texans, but the Texans, the Eagles, and the Commanders for me are the winners of free agency. Yep. So number 8 for me, the guy you're like, who? I mean, you might know him because you know the NFL, but I went Andrew Van Ginkel, I'm sorry, with the Vikings because 2 years, $20 million. He graded out really well in Pro Football Focus last year, and that was a defense that had a lot of guys hurt, and he stepped up. I really like him. He's not a guy that's going to go out and get 10 sacks a year, right? But he'll make the play, and that's a team that really needed somebody. Because obviously, as we know, they lost an edge rusher, which we'll get to him. He's in my list, but had to bring him in.
No, I had him at 13 on my list. I made a top 15 this year with some honorable.
That's fair. That's fair.
He was 13 on my list.
Go ahead. Number 8 for you.
Yeah. No, I already did number 8. That was Mixon.
Oh, yeah.
Number 7 for me. I'll do 7 first, then I'll leave you 6.
Yeah.
Number 7 for me, it's another Texan. It's Danielle Hunter.
Yeah.
I mean,
Okay.
The money, the player, it's worth it. I just love what the Texans are doing. Like this team has potential, if healthy, to probably be a 13, 14 win team.
Yeah, I like that.
Which is crazy to say because they only play 17 games. This team was just trash 2 years ago.
Well, he was my number 5. I mean, 2 years, $49 million. He was asking for 30.
For 30.
But he got a little bit of a discount on him, and he's one of, if not the best, outside of Bosa. He's in the conversation of best edge rushers in the game, right? I think we agree on that.
100%.
Number 7 for me is Xavier McKinney. That was a great pickup for the Packers from the Giants. He graded out as one of the top 5 safeties in the game last year. I believe that's an Alabama product as well. But he's a heck of a player. Giants didn't want to pay him. Now the contract a little bit suspect. 4 years, $68 million. But I mean, he's a great player, man. He reminds me of Ha Clinton Dix.
Right. Yeah, no, I like him as a player. I personally have him at 11 on my list.
Mm-hmm.
I just think some of the bigger names have come off the market quicker than I expected. So
Fair enough.
He kind of dropped down a little bit just because of that aspect. Or else he would have been in my top 10.
Number 6 for you?
Number 6 again. This is a late signing as well, maybe an hour or 2 ago. But I love Bobby Wagner to the Commanders.
I did not see that. I like that a lot. Yeah.
Bobby Wagner to the Commanders. Literally 1 year, $8.5 million, $6 million guaranteed.
I really like that.
This is a guy who's a veteran. He's a Super Bowl winner. He's got playoff experience, and he led the league in tackles last year.
Not to mention that team's going to be much better next year.
Yeah.
We already talked about Eckler going there. I really like the direction they're going. I like Dan Quinn there. The defense is going to be better.
Like my question is now, do they really draft a quarterback at 2 or 3, whatever they're picking?
I love Sam Howell.
I do too. Or do you take Neighbors or Bowers or Marvin Harrison Jr. To add to that offense?
Here's the thing, Josh. Why not go with like a Neighbors or Bowers or something like that? Give the kid one more option to go to. If it doesn't work this year, then okay. You can probably draft the QB next year, and you can look at maybe trading your top receiver and Terry McLaurin for more picks. I give it one more year personally. He hasn't gotten a fair chance with Riverboat Ron Rivera there.
Right. No, I agree with you 100%. I just think they got the pieces in place now. There's literally no excuse there now. Like you have literally a guy who's led. Your running back has led the league in touchdowns the last 3 years with 44 total touchdowns.
Yep.
You know what I mean? You added a veteran at tight end in Zach Ertz. You got Terry McLaurin there still. Your defense is drastically improved. Your offensive line is crazy improved.
Yeah.
So there's no reason there. So yeah, I'd give him one more year for sure. And I mean, because he put together a decent league last year. So
no, I like that signing a lot. I think they could do some good things. We're at number 6 now. Number 6.
Number 5. Wagner was my 6.
Oh, I didn't have a 6 yet. My 6. I initially had Patrick Queen, but I moved him down. I gave some more thought as I got home, and at number 6, I put Saquon there. And it's funny that you brought that up because I did put him at 6 because I think he's a great player, but he's just a running back. I know what you're saying, but I just think that I think that and the way that they play last year, I really think he can have a good year, but the dude's never healthy. So if he gives another year of healthy, give me 14, 15 games, I'll be happy with that. But I got to see another healthy year from Saquon. So that's why I had him there.
I get the injury concerns there with Barkley. I really do. But the guy, he's just so talented.
No, he's amazing.
CMC that had injury history.
But not lately, though.
If he was a free agent right now, he's nowhere but number 1.
Of course. Now, listen, maybe it changes because you actually have, even though Kelsey's gone, you probably have more of a respectable team and an organization than the Giants. They could never put anybody in front of him that would protect him. It was always like getting tackled in the backfield. So now we'll see what it's like, right? Because not only do you have to respect Saquon, you got to respect Jalen Hurts. So we'll see.
That RPO game's going to be crazy.
Really quick, too, before we go to your 6, or your 5. Okay, if you're the Titans, how can you pay Ridley, but you couldn't pay a 24-year-old and AJ Brown a few years ago, who just wanted $20 million more, but was 6 years younger? That right there is a joke. I think they're realizing they made a mistake.
Well, I think it was more so AJ Brown wanted out of town, but
maybe that's it.
I get what you're saying for sure.
I mean, he's a freak, man.
I know him and Hurts are like really good friends, getting back to like high school and stuff like that. Like they were at each other's own draft parties and stuff. Like
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's probably what kind of tied it for him. He probably wanted out of town. He wanted to go to a winning situation.
And I can't.
But otherwise, if he didn't want out of town, like, yeah, the Titans definitely fumbled that.
Yeah, agreed. But we'll see what happens, man. Who's your number 5?
My number 5, I believe this was a trade, not an actual signing, but I put it on there anyways because it was huge. Brian Burns to the Giants.
Yeah. That's my number 3. Brian Burns, man. They gave the man the Brinks truck, but the dude is unstoppable. He had 9 sacks on a terrible team last year.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
great.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to a team. I mean, the Giants, sure, they're nothing great, but I believe they had the top in defense last year. He just added a stud. Brian Burns. So they're just gonna, you ain't gonna score many points, so might as well be able to stop somebody and win a 13-10 game, I guess.
Yep, number 5 for me was Danielle Hunter, who you mentioned already. That's somebody I wanted the Lions to go after. I thought that would have been perfect next to Hutch. Even if it was 1-year deal, give the man $20 million. Give the man $25 million for 1 year. I don't care. You had the cap money. You didn't spend it that way. I don't know, man. I wish they would have went that route, but hey, they like their guys a lot because as I just saw, they tendered, what's his name? He just came back for us last year in the playoffs. He didn't get a lot of playing time. Yeah, they tendered James Houston, so they're keeping him in Detroit, which they were going to, but they tendered him. They believe in that guy. They must think of the world of him, because they didn't throw any cash at my man in Minnesota. He goes to the Texans.
You ready for this before we move on?
Yeah, go ahead.
As of 5 minutes ago, Colts are signing veteran quarterback Joe Flacco to a 2-year, a 1 year, $8.7 million deal, $4.5 million guaranteed.
I like it. You want one more? One more breaking news? Ready?
Yep.
Padres finalizing a trade to acquire Dylan Cease from the White Sox.
Dang. Okay. I guess they're not bringing Snow back.
No, they ain't bringing him back, but that doesn't make any sense. That's the team trying to shed payroll. And now,
right.
Whatever, man. But hey, that Flacco deal, I like that though. I mean, listen, that's an upgrade.
Especially if Richardson can't stay healthy.
Well, I mean, that's an upgrade in my opinion to Minshew. I like Minshew, but I think it's an upgrade. I mean,
I'm a Colts fan first before Lions.
Of course.
Fan, so, I mean, I like my mobile quarterbacks. I do.
Yeah, but Minshew had 15 touchdown passes in like 15 games. So like, if you get more, if you get the same Joe Flacco last year,
right?
Okay, I'm good with that. But hey, that's a great veteran.
Well, if we get the same Joe Flacco as last year, our season's over with. I mean, Anthony Richardson got hurt again.
That's true. We are at number 4. Go ahead.
My number 4, somewhat you mentioned earlier, it's Austin Eckler.
Yeah.
I mean, to get a guy like that, I get he's on the opposite side of 30 now, I believe. But to get a guy that cheap, who's led the league in touchdowns,
that was a good pickup, honestly.
For the last 3-4 years, that changes the whole complexion of that offense, in my opinion. You got a guy who can rush the ball, who can catch the ball. He's probably going to catch 80 to 100 balls there. It's going to make McLaurin, but it's going to make McLaurin better. Brian Robinson Jr. now goes from a starter to a backup, which gives them better depth. So just overall, I just thought that was a home run for the Commanders.
Yeah, I liked it. For me, Christian Wilkins. The only reason why I didn't have it higher, to be honest, is because it was too much money. They gave him a lot. They gave him $110 million. Last time I remember an interior lineman getting that was Albert Haynesworth, and that didn't go well. Right now, this guy's better than him, and he's an accomplished player. He's somebody that I would have loved to see on the Lions, but I knew they're not going to pay that type of money, and I don't want them to. It's a lot. I'm sure you wouldn't even want the Colts to spend that much. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's just too much, but it's Vegas, and they want to they want to do that, so go ahead. But I think in the end, it's going to cost them. It's just too much money for a guy like that.
No, I agree. I love Christian Wilkins, but I kept him off my top 10 as well. I have him at number 12. Just like you said, the money was just too much. Like, it was obviously makes them a better team. Next to freaking Crosby.
Yeah, but how much? They can't sign anybody.
Right. Exactly.
Right.
So they're going to have to nail the draft, which I don't really expect them to. They really never have.
No. That's we could go into so many examples of that, but all right. So for you, I believe, what are we at? Number
3.
Number 3. Go ahead.
Yeah. So my number 3 is somebody you mentioned earlier as well. It's Patrick Queen.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think him on the Steelers. I think that just opens up so many defensive schemes for them with him and freaking TJ Watt in that front 7. I think it instantly makes him the best duo in any front 7 in football.
Mm-hmm.
I think Watt coming off the edge, clean up the middle. Watt's gonna flirt with 20+ sacks.
Yeah.
And the money obviously is, in my opinion, low. It's less than $16 million a year.
Yep.
What is it? 15? Yeah, it's 14 million a year, something like that.
Yep.
13.3 million, something like that.
Yep.
A year. That's crazy. That's cheap in my opinion. So,
yeah.
And he's still young too. So.
I mean, when you think about the Steelers, right? You think about linebackers. You know what I mean? Like, you think about linebackers, guys that make an impact. I mean, James Harrison's the first one that jumps out to me, right?
James Harrison, Lamar
Farrier,
Woodley was kind of a
James Farrier, right?
Linebacker. Yep.
Yeah, but when you look at what they got on that defensive side of the ball, I mean, I know he had a bad year last year, but Minkah Fitzpatrick, he's a great safety. Cameron Hayward, he's on that D line. Yeah, who's that?
Peterson, is he still there?
I don't know. I know he was there last year. Played good ball. I mean, he's a safety now, but Hayward's been there forever. He's still good, right? He's still causing havoc. But anytime you can bring in a guy like that, I mean, listen, was he the second best linebacker on his team? Yeah, but they had freaking, the best linebacker in Roquan Smith and maybe the game. He's in the conversation. He's incredible, right? He's good at everything. Now, the big thing that they say, the slap on Patrick Queen, is that he's not a great cover linebacker. But my thing is if you have good secondary, you don't got to worry about that. You know what I mean? And I think Pittsburgh does have Minkah Fitzpatrick, who's one of those guys that can move all over the field. He'll help.
I agree 100%. You add somebody like that to your defense. In this instance, you're instantly better. And in that division, you definitely need some defense, or else you ain't winning many games.
Now, Brian Burns was my number 3. We'll go to 2. I got Derrick Henry of the Ravens, man. I mean, I think Derrick Henry, 2 years, $16 million. It really could be 1 year if they wanted to, but 2 years for a guy. Now, he's 30 years old. He is. But if you give him 15 carries, Justice Hill can spell him a little bit there. I know they lost Gus Edwards, but I'll take Derrick Henry any day over the 2.
Yeah, I also got Keaton Mitchell there.
Of course. No, I think Saquon Barkley would have been better, but I mean, they didn't go that route.
I don't even have Henry on my top 15 if I'm being honest with you.
Yeah,
I love this. I
love the fit.
The money is great. The fit is good, but 2 things, like you mentioned, the age is concerning to me, and the injury history. Sure, he has a better offensive line to run behind now, better playmakers around him, so it's not always going to be stacking the box against him like it was in Tennessee.
Mm-hmm.
So I can definitely see him being a productive running back. Will he be the same old King Henry? Only time will tell.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, with the injury history and stuff like that. But no, I definitely do. I think this makes them a lot better on the offensive side of the ball.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah. It does. Now, who do you got at number 2?
My number 2 is Kirk Cousins.
Yeah, that's my number 1, so that's fair.
Yeah, no, I have Kirk Cousins. I think that instantly makes them, the NFC South favorites.
I mean, you got rid of, you're going to have him on the bench or whatever, I don't know, Desmond Ridder, and then you had Taylor Heineke. When Taylor Heineke is the best option that you have, because he did play better than Ridder last year, when he's the better option of the 2, and you don't have a quarterback, you bring Kirk Cousins in there, 180 over 4 years, I don't care. I love him. He brings guys in, and we've already seen it. Also, if you're drafting a tight end this year, Kyle Pitts is going to have a killer year.
Yep, Kirk Cousins loves. Dude, I've already been
Yep.
throwing out flyers in my dynasty league for Kyle Pitts. I really have.
You have to.
But yeah, no, I agree with you 100%. Kirk Cousins loves the tight end position. He's got a couple, a stud wide receiver there in Drake London, nice and young kid there. Bijan Robinson's young. So they got some pieces in place to kind of put some stuff together over the 4 years that he's there before they kind of turn the page and move on to a younger quarterback of the future.
Yep. And then we go to number 1 for me. It's Kirk Cousins. We just said that for all those reasons. He's a great player. They brought in some free agents. I really like Darnell Mooney coming there. I think that'll help too. Darnell Mooney's a good receiver. He just got overshadowed.
They overpaid for him, I believe. But.
Yeah, but they can do that. They had a lot of cap, right? So I'm fine with it. I mean, I think it was 3 years, like, was it 39 million? Which that's like, that's like 13 million a year. But like, if he has a couple good years like that, it's worth it, man. I think that type of receiver could work for him. He's already.
I mean, the only reason I have an issue with the money wise, if you think about like the team on paper, like Bijan's gonna get targets,
Drake London
get targets, Pitts is gonna get targets probably before Mooney. So that's
Algier gonna get targets.
Right. So that's a 4th or 5th option that you're paying $13 million a year to. That's my only concern with that.
And I'm fine with that. But hey, that's the best 4th or 5th option in the game. Then at that point, or one of the better ones. And so I'm good with it. Who's your one?
Oh, it's Mr. Saquon Barkley.
Yeah.
It's Saquon. I think he honestly just changed the landscape of the NFC.
Yeah. I mean, he could.
And that's crazy to say because I mean they lost Jason Kelsey, they lost Fletcher Cox both to retirement. Those are 2 huge losses. But for reasons that you mentioned earlier, with Saquon, his offensive line in New York was absolutely terrible. He ran for I think close to 2,000 yards, if not over 2,000 yards 1 year. Imagine what he's gonna do with Philly.
No, I mean,
like
if he stays healthy,
it's literally a cheat code. Like this is literally a cheat code.
Saquon Barkley is one of the best, talents we've ever seen in the league. It's not the question. It's just I want to see how he runs with a good line in front of him. Yeah, okay. So he should be better. Yeah, he should be much better, right? Like, obviously. But I got to see him healthy, and if I see that happen, he could push 2,000 yards. He could push 16, 17, thousand. He could do some great stuff. So we'll see.
I expect him to have 2,000 all-purpose yards this year.
1,500 to 2,000. I mean, I think it's very possible.
I think 1,500 is a disappointing year.
I mean, well, you're unhappy then as a person because that's pretty damn good. I'll take that any day.
With this offense, though, dude, like he was doing that.
You have to understand they don't have Kelsey anymore. He's a big part of it. I think Lane Johnson. I don't know if he retired or what, but I don't know if he's coming back. So it's going to be a little different. It's a new offensive scheme.
It's going to be a little different. I agree. I just talent-wise, that paper, I don't know, it excites me.
Of course.
It excites
as it should.
It excites me and annoys me, just because of the lines. I like we were mentioning, we'll talk about this during the line segment, but we were talking, whatever about the line, the window has it closed or whatnot.
Yeah.
We'll get into that the next segment here, but I think this honestly kind of moves the needle a little bit in the NFC.
I like it. Let's move on to the lines, as we said. I want to talk about some names that they've signed. I'm just going to go through them. I'm not going to say a lot, and then we'll get into the discussion. First guy, I will say the one I did not like at all is Marcus Davenport, and I'll get into that. But they signed Amik Robertson he played at Louisiana Tech, obviously played with the Raiders. Now, here's the other moves. Traded for Carlton Davis, re-signed Kaminsky, re-signed Glasgow, re-signed Dan Skipper, Zonovan Knight, Emmanuel Mosley, Shane Zylstra, Jalen Reeves-Maben, Badgley, which I hate. They lost C.J. Gardner-Johnson. They lost Jonah Jackson. Okay.
Tracy Walker.
They lost Tracy Walker, which, they were done with him anyways. They released him. But C.J. Gardner-Johnson didn't need him. Branch will step in there, as we've said. But, I mean, the only other thing is like, okay, so Branch plays in that slot then. Okay. And then you got Kirby Joseph. Go ahead.
I'm going to cut you off right quick. Two signings right here. The Cardinals are signing offensive lineman from the Bengals, Jonah Williams.
That's a nice move.
The Cowboys are signing linebacker Eric Kendricks.
Yeah, here's the thing. The Cowboys need to do something. Because people were starting to say, like, oh, they're just going to sit here and watch. I'm glad because I don't like them. Their running back right now is Deuce Vaughn. And say what you want about him. He's 5'8" and like 100 pounds, it feels like. They need another guy.
He's on my dynasty team, believe it or not.
Fair enough, but
He's
you
like
know
my
that they
number
need
eight.
more.
He's like my number 8 running back, though.
Exactly. But listen, Jonah Jackson, $50 million, wasn't going to pay him that much.
Yeah.
The Lions, the way that they work, Josh, is, and you know this, they believe in their homegrown guys, and they're not going to pay you $50 million to keep you. So that's why I think next year they're probably drafting Frank Ragnow's replacement, because I think he retires in a couple of years, if not next year. So it seems like he's beat up, and
I would love to see them, maybe if not with their first round pick, but with their second round pick. Keep Zach Venter in the state of Michigan, please.
Oh, I'd love that. I mean, I would love that. This is a draft that is, that has a lot of good offensive line, a lot of guards too. They need that. They got to bring somebody in there. They did bring back Dan Skipper, who's a nice rotation piece.
Yeah.
And he ain't a starter, but he's a nice rotation piece. Zonovan Knight doesn't do anything for me. The one that really he's got me a little curious here. There's two of them, and I want to know what you think about this. We can agree that Carlton Davis was an absolute steal for them. I think that was great. But
up next to nothing.
Yeah, but here's the thing. You couldn't kick in the playoffs. That's why you went for it on fourth down, but you re-signed Badgley. Why? And number 2, Emmanuel Mosley. 2 ACL injuries, and you bring him back. Why?
Honestly, just probably the 1-year deal and how cheap he was. Familiarity with the defensive scheme that Glenn's running. And probably didn't want to go out and pay, a number 2.
Yeah, I guess
probably would have to pay a number 2, which it's kind of weird to me because I had heard some rumblings that they are still in the market to sign hopefully one of these top tier guys that at the cornerback position still.
Yeah, I hear that. Like Stephen Gilmore, like in a trade or something, I've heard has been brought up too. But like, I would take Snead, man. I want Snead.
No, Snead's too expensive. But I've heard them connected to Xavier Howard.
I mean, that'd be nice. That'd be nice. But here's another guy we're forgetting about. He put Brian Branch in at the slot, which is where he played a lot, right? Mm-hmm. He put Kirby Joseph in his starting spot, and then Melifonwu, where he played last year. That's why they didn't need to sign CJ. Right. CJ didn't want to be a rotation guy. Lions weren't going to pay him $30 million. Good for him. Right. But the man talked a lot of smack for 3 games all year. He only played in 3 games.
And he really didn't do much against the Niners either when he came
No,
back.
he hurt us. Yeah. He hurt us out there. So
I mean, at the beginning of last year, everybody was all for it and stuff. But dude, sorry, the Washington Commanders are being talked about right now on NFL Network. Dude, they've done some work, dude.
Of course.
Holy cow, dude. Dante Fowler, Dorrance Armstrong, Tyler Bedaza, Austin Eckler, and Bobby Wagner.
I mean, it's good, man. It's good veterans, too.
2 offensive linemen, like, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I agree with you. They definitely need to upgrade that cornerback position, though, in terms, Lions, get back to the Lions here.
Yeah.
I mean, I like, obviously, some of the pieces they have in place there. Believe it or not, I do like what they did with the Davis trade, like you said.
Yeah.
I don't care how big Robertson is. I think he's an absolute stud. I know he's 5'8", so but he's quick off the line. He can jam you.
So here's my only problem with him. All right, I was looking at some stats, and I got this of him, and I want your thoughts on this. They said he allowed more than 60% of throws to be completed when targeted. That's not a lot, but 956 yards, 7 touchdowns, 4 picks. He committed just 9 penalties in 2022, and he was only flagged for pass interference only 1 time last season. So the good and the bad.
That's why I like him.
The good and the bad.
Yep.
He is going to give up some yards. He's undersized, but it sounds like the guy is a fighter, man.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that honestly, like, personally, I think they may sign one more cornerback, but ideally, in a perfect world, if you're a Lions fan, like, you want Cooper DeJean.
Oh, of course you do. That'd be the only white guy that's played corner since Jason Sehorn.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, the only way you don't take him is if both him and Kool-Aid are on the board. I would prefer
Kool-Aid.
A little bit, but not by much, honestly. But that's the only way, you wouldn't take him if Kool-Aid's still on the board. But I expect Kool-Aid to be gone, by at least 20.
I will say one thing I love too about bringing Glasgow back. He can play center, so if Ragnow is banged up a little bit, as we've seen, Glasgow can do that. He's versatile. when you got a guy like that, I love that. They're going to draft another offensive lineman. Shane Zylstra doesn't really do anything to me. He's just a backup tight end, maybe like a fourth guy. But what is your thoughts on maybe going out and drafting a kicker late?
I don't like it. I mean, there's a couple solid choices in this draft. If you were going to do that, I mean, Moody was the obvious choice last year.
Well, obviously, yeah. But, I mean, it's just like Badgley can't be it, man. That can't be it.
I agree with you for sure. I mean, if they are going to draft a kicker, I'm drawing a blank on his name right now, but I want the dude from Missouri.
And I don't even know who that is either. But I mean, if he can kick better,
I want the kid from I want the kid from Missouri. Like I was watching a game this last year. He's a bigger kid, not gonna lie. He needs to probably slim down a little bit, but he set an SEC record or a Missouri record. It was like a 61, 62 yarder, and he did it with ease.
Yeah. I mean, listen, that sounds great, and we're indoors, so you can kick even more. Now, my question to you is this, and I'm going to lay out some things. Okay, we're probably going to lose Josh Reynolds. It doesn't look like they want to bring him back because they're going to slide in a man, Williams, right? He'll probably be in there.
Yeah,
JMO at the other two. Who they'll play in the slot. I mean, I don't think it's going to be somebody that's on the roster right now. I mean, we had an injury last year. Obviously, we'll have to see, but I think they could probably draft somebody in the 4th round, 5th round, and bring him in. There's a lot of depth out there. Yeah, I mean, you're probably going to have to. This team isn't going to sign a veteran like Michael Thomas or something. I saw he was out there.
Mike Williams released.
Mike Williams, I'd love, but I don't think they're going to pay him that money. That won't be us.
T. Higgins in a trade.
I would love him, but yeah, too much money.
Too much money.
So they're probably going to have to draft somebody, and that's fine. But with them losing CJ, just a name, but I'm just putting this out there. Jared Goff, his contract discussion is coming up. And playing devil's advocate. What if he doesn't want to sign here? I know it looks like he does, but my question to you is did we miss a window with last year, or are we still in that window? Frank Ragnow getting older.
Are you talking about in terms of just competing for Super Bowls or just
Super Bowls?
Team?
Super Bowls.
For Super Bowls, as currently constructed, I still put them probably in the top 3 in terms of NFC teams.
Now, if we lose Jared Goff, are we still in the discussion? Do you have to sign him?
Depends on who you replace him with.
Okay.
Would be the thing here.
Imagine if we would have brought in Kirk Cousins instead. How would you have felt about that?
I don't think Kirk Cousins fits with what the Lions do on offense. He's more of a deep ball threat. Lions really don't have a deep ball home run hitter type guy other than JMO.
I mean, JMO.
They don't like to utilize that though. Is what I'm getting at.
But my question is though, because you got to pay Amon-Ra too.
Yeah. Personally, and then this may cause some uproar here in Detroit.
You're gonna trade him.
I do like Goff, but I mean, I'm personally trying to trade him. I'm not giving him 45, 50 million, which is what it's probably going to take. It's just
that's the market. Yeah,
probably going to put us in cap hell. I would much rather trade him. I know he's older.
Draft a guy.
Or draft a guy. I mean, Hendon Hooker's obviously on the roster, but he's already 25, 26 years old.
Yeah, he ain't the guy. Yeah.
So potentially.
Michael Penix, bring him in.
Why not? No. There's a guy over there, in this little place called, the Windy City.
Oh, Justin Fields, man.
Why not? He's young. He brings a different element to the team.
Chicago calls. Do you say, hey, we'll give you Justin Fields, but I want a first, a second, and Jared Goff, and you can have him. What do you say?
No, I think Fields' value is diminished just because of how the Bears have played this.
See, and that's the thing.
I think Goff a 3 and a 5 probably gets it done.
Ooh, a 3 and a 5 for a dude that. Oh, okay, because I don't think because here's the knock on Jared Goff. He doesn't have a strong arm. What are we talking about? Windy City. I don't know. I think you better have the best damn run game in the game if you got a quarterback that can't throw the ball, and I don't think they do. So I'm concerned about that. Now, do I think Justin Fields is a star in the making? Maybe.
I think the one place that field makes the most sense because I'm kind of.
I thought it was Atlanta.
Well,
Vegas.
With everything that's kind of transpired, they released Garoppolo, they released Brian Hoyer today.
There we go.
They have Aiden Connell on their roster.
Aiden O'Connell's a joke.
He makes too much sense there. I mean,
that would be electric. Him in Vegas, man, with
him in
Devontae
Vegas
Adams.
With Devontae Adams would be absolutely insane. Then you can bring in somebody like maybe say an Alexander Madison for the cheap after getting rid of.
Why
Jacobs.
not? I would
You know
love
what I'm
that.
saying? And then all of a sudden, you're looking pretty decent again.
Right. Alexander Madison's not a scrub, dude. I wouldn't hate that at all.
But Detroit fans, with all this being said, I think Goff is staying in Detroit. I think he's their best option to actually win right now.
Yep. So I mean that's the thing, Josh. When people watch this and they
These are
tune
just
in,
hypothetical conversations, people.
hypothetical. So we're gonna put that on record, Josh. This is not happening. We're just playing the games of.
Right, we're playing devil's advocate, right?
Yes, right. I want to talk about, before we get into the Red Wings and the podcast, because that'll take a while here, I want to talk about some of the best available. I have Armstead from the 49ers, Tyron Smith from the Cowboys, offensive tackle. Here's a stud, Justin Simmons from the Broncos.
Yep.
Chase Young from the Niners. I don't think, whatever.
Jamal Adams.
Yep. Josh Reynolds.
DJ
Jadeveon Clowney is out there. I don't like him. I think he's used up. Kevin Zeitler, DJ Reader, who the Lions are actually going to bring him in a visit at defensive tackle.
It's either tomorrow or Friday they're bringing him in. They better not let him
Do not let him leave. Do not let the man leave.
Right.
So here's what I want to kind of get into now, because now I'm just pissed off. Now the Red Wings just done pissed me off. We got all into it, started putting the car flags on our cars again, and then they just went and just sucked. So let me get into some of this, man, because this just I don't understand it. On February 28th, right? Everybody's getting their flags, and they were 33-20-6, 3 points ahead of Tampa Bay, the second wild card in front of New Jersey. Now, 33-26-6. They're behind the Islanders right now, and they're behind Tampa Bay. Yeah, they're tied with points, but 6 losses in a row, and they don't know how to score anymore, and they don't know how to stop the puck. This team is just too inconsistent. And when you got a guy like Patrick Kane, you got Larkin's hurt right now, and that's probably a big reason that hurts. But too inconsistent. I mean, what I don't. So in other words, they're relying on hot shooting, hot goaltending, and special teams, basically, right? Hot goaltending. Just throwing in guys. Hey, we'll put in Lyon today. We'll put in Reimer today. These guys aren't good. And now you're seeing another season where we're not going to make the playoffs if they keep playing like this. It's ridiculous, and now you have to start questioning, is the Yzer plan working? Because I'm starting to ask, is it going to work? What do you think?
I think the other plan's gonna work. And I know, sports is more than one player on the team, but the loss of Dylan Larkin is absolutely what started.
It was huge.
It's absolutely what started this. I personally feel like they do miss the playoffs, and I hate saying that because the city of Detroit has been so electric all year at those games.
Oh yeah, yelling Jared Goff's name and
right. But yeah, no. Here's some stats for you. So during the 6-game losing streak, they've been outscored 32-11.
Yep.
That's absolutely crazy and insane.
Yep.
The main issue for this losing streak is their goaltending and defense, like you stated. They are 31st. They are 31st in scoring at 1.83.
That's terrible.
They're 32nd in goals against at 5.3.
See, that's amazing that they're in the playoff race.
That's a 4-goal differential during this losing streak. That's crazy.
Yeah.
They're 19th in power play, which is down from 11th. They're 23 in penalty kill, which is down from 17th.
Yep.
And they are 32nd in 5-on-5 shooting and save percentage at 90%. That's last in 3 out of the 5 categories defensively.
And they're getting in fights at practice. Look,
yeah.
Raymond and somebody got in
yeah.
I don't know, man. But so I don't think I'm with you. I don't think it's hey, this team is just a crap show, and but I do think that obviously these type of numbers show that we are not going anywhere without a goaltender, without a number one. For one, that's for starters.
Bring up the kid from Grand Rapids.
Sebastian Kosa is incredible. I love him.
Let's see what he can do
at this point, because at this point, let's just see, because you're not winning games. Lyon is not an NHL goalie. Reimer has always been a third guy, a backup guy, and they continuously. That's the one thing that they've done during the Yzer plan is just put these scrubs in net. And we don't even have that good of a defense, as we've talked about before. Yeah, you got Mo Seider, Gostafair, who's 87 years old. Yeah, Mo Seider's more of an offensive defenseman.
Even with the healthy roster, the defense we've questioned all year long. They basically won a lot of these games just by outscoring their opponents. Like there was a game, I believe, earlier this year they won 8-7. There was another game they won 7-4. Like most nights you give up 4 goals, you're losing.
Josh, when they played, let me look at. Red Wings played the Avalanche.
Yeah, I believe they gave up.
They gave up
goals.
7. Yeah, and they gave up like 70 shots.
Yeah.
I don't understand how that. Like, you can't be an NHL team and give up 70 shots.
I mean, I can go out there on my giraffe legs on skates and probably play better than that.
I mean, that was just terrible. Like, you're like, oh yeah, Alex Lyon had 35 stops. You're like, oh, that's pretty good. Yeah, but he let in 7 goals.
Right.
What? It's like that's ridiculous. So
yeah, I think Yzerman. I mean, I think the Yzer plan will work long term. I think he dropped the ball though here at the deadline. I'm just thinking that the minor league affiliates would help them. Bringing out players and things of that nature.
You literally made no trades. You made no movement except for giving up somebody. Really, is what they did. But that's ridiculous. I don't think this team needed help, and they needed help. They really needed help everywhere if you look at it. But you could have used a defenseman. You could have used another scorer because you have no depth. You could have used a goaltender. Goaltenders are hard to get, but we've seen it happen before. I don't know, man. It's kind of ridiculous because when you think about this, it's been how many years, and we were spoiled as young kids with the Red Wings because there was like 30 years of like winning. But honestly, the last winning goaltender here may have been Osgood.
Osgood or Hasek.
Yeah, I mean Osgood was after him, but like,
yeah.
So like I don't think there's, what they have after that, right? For a while they had Manny Legacy in there.
Peter
Mrazek. They had Jimmy Howard, which if you want to say he won some, yes, but he was not that spectacular. They were, they did not like him here in Detroit. Jimmy Howard, I guess you could say, okay, last winner, Jimmy Howard, he ain't that great. So they've always lacked that. Sebastian Kosa in the minors, I like him. I like he can play. He was a number 1 overall pick, first rounder.
It's kind of like I've been saying with the Tigers players. The only way they're going to get better at the major league level is letting them play at the major league level.
Correct.
So why not bring up Sebastian Kosa and put him in goal for the home stretch and see what he can actually do at this level, or to see if you need to go find somebody for the future still.
I would like to see it, man. I'd like to see it. Well, Josh, that's how we're going to wrap it up. I hope they start winning. We'll see. But we will be back on Friday, just a couple days. We're going to talk about first baseman, top 10 first baseman in the league, second baseman. And I think because it's all
conference,
yeah,
we're gonna talk some about NCAA conference tournament play, which is underway as of last night.
Yep.
So yeah, we'll talk a little bit about that. I believe Michigan plays tonight at 8:30, which whatever, they'll probably lose, ending their season.
Yes.
But they're at Penn. They play Penn State, I believe.
Yep. So Josh, just because we do this, that's how we're gonna end the show from now on. The best thing non-sports going on right now for me, as soon as we're done here, and in a little bit, I'm going to watch Love is Blind. Yeah, I don't care who makes fun of me. The reunion. Clarky, what are you doing? What's the best thing going on non-sports for you right now?
Well, I was going to say after this, I'm going to jump off here and watch some AEW Dynamite.
Yeah.
I heard through a little birdie that Mercedes Moné is supposed to make her debut tonight, formerly known as Sasha Banks.
There you go.
So I'm hoping she arrives tonight. So I'm tuning in to watch that. Other than that, though, I mean, honestly, I'll probably fall asleep halfway through it.
Josh,
I got work in the morning.
4 years ago to the day, Rudy Gobert was
Yep.
touching stuff. Oh, don't worry, I don't got. And then they locked the man up. So,
Yep. Good old COVID.
moral of the story: life is good. Life is good, brother.
Absolutely. Always.
All right, Clarky. That's it for me. Anything from you, brother?
No, sir.
Peace. Have a good night. I'll see you Friday.
Yes, sir.
Thanks for listening to Detroit on Deck. Be sure to like and subscribe to our page for more Detroit content.